it's coming from both sides. I wonder whether there's any particular examples where you're seeing whether those expectations from businesses or consumers are rising faster now. Any businesses that you're seeing that fintechs that you're seeing have done anything particularly inspirational in response to that? So perhaps Susanne, Keegan, if you've got any thoughts to add here.
I mean, I think one of the key things is ESG, as you said, it covers the environment, social and governance. And I think in terms of social impact, of the fintech sector, of financial services overall, we have seen a little bit of backlash in the last few weeks. I mean, we have seen 2 weeks ago, there was this large article in the Financial Times about poor customer service in our sector. And so I think we have to be careful not to lose the great reputation we have built as a fintech sector of providing great customer service to customers and giving them the best service they expect. So it's about customer service, it's about employees, how to engage employees so that they've got a balance of work-life. A work-life balance is where you don't burn out. So it's about all the social elements. And about governance, the key topic nowadays, of course, is how do we govern companies, how do we govern startups, how do we govern listed companies to ensure that we've got enough diversity inclusion at board levels, but also at small startup levels. And I think the biggest topic of our lifetime at the moment, I find, is how do we govern AI? How do we govern the artificial general intelligence, the AGI, whom we're talking about now with ChatGPT, with kind of all these systems which are growing so quickly and could be potentially so dangerous to our society because they might be optimized not to serve human mankind but to serve other variables. And if you don't define it very clearly, there's a big danger for our society. So I think that's why ESG as a topic is absolutely existential. And that's why we talked about before. It's good that we can talk about this several times during the next 2 days. And FinTech Circle, the company I run, we see that because we see more and more fintech companies in this space, more and more fintech companies who call themselves green fintech or green finance and who really want to live ESG values from the ground up, from the moment they get founded to the moment they scale up, they raise funding. And I think it will be just a question of time until investors will demand that. So when you're an investor and you go and meet startups and they're just a male-only team, at some stage you just won't invest anymore in those teams. So I think it will just be a question of time where investors demand diversity, demand a diverse team to invest in. Equally buyers, when you run a procurement team in a large organization, you would want your suppliers to be diverse as well. So it will be coming top-down, bottom-up, and so absolutely crucial, I think, to have ESG at the forefront of our strategies.
There's a strong link back to the data that Sherry was talking about, because with that with outlook for fintech in the market, whether you're ESG specific as a fintech or this is something that you need to take into consideration in your dual role as you run your business, what are you starting to see there in terms of the key trends?
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. It's a huge trend among the investor community globally to want to invest into ESG investment opportunities. And it comes down to data to find out what does it mean, which funds are ESG friendly, for example. And that's easier said than done. But the key thing is investors want to back it, want to put their money behind those trends. And that's where, for example, fintech companies come and play a role. There's one fintech startup, which helps larger asset managers to actually help end consumers, investors to assess our funds, which type of elements of the ESG universe do funds tick the box for. And so there's a huge opportunity there to be able to attract ESG-focused asset flows. And this comes from venture capitalists, comes from pension funds, comes from individual ISAs investments, where individuals want to back those companies and those funds which have got green credentials. And in terms of startups, we have seen a huge surge of fintech companies who focus on carbon measurement, like you said, who focus on carbon training of workforces, who focus on helping companies to measure the carbon footprint of their staff members, both in the office, both at home, commuting to the office. So we've seen a lot, in this space. And there's another term, Jin, because you talked about key terms, which are new. One is carbon obesity. So who of you is carbon obese? You know, that's a new term which we all need to find out, are we carbon obese or not, you know? And the key thing is we need to have a line in the sand, you know, where are we at the moment? So what's our carbon footprint, and how can we get better? You know, how can we do more? And that's really important. And I see you are impacted in the room as well, you know, a fantastic green fintech company who does exactly that, helps, you know, asset managers to invest in those ESG-friendly funds, you know, who've got the right credentials. And so I think it's a huge opportunity for fintech startups to do the right thing, not just because they believe in it, but also because they know it's easier and it makes fundraising easier.
Great, but perhaps before we can wrap, if I can ask you just a quick sort of 20-second, what would your key takeaway be from today before we wrap up? So perhaps, Susanne, if I can come to you and we'll run along the line and we'll close the panel. So, Susanne.
Yeah, I would say the key takeaway is to act now. You know, I think we don't have time left to wait and to see what others are doing, but whatever we can do, individuals, you know, in our own capacity, as parents, for example, you know, as employees, as bosses, to do things which we can do now to improve our life, you know, to improve our world around us.
Appreciate your time today. Please give a warm thank you to Susanne, Chishti,